hello to whoever's watching. I thought I would just give a little review of some of the maps that I thought was interesting from Overwatch League over the last few days. So obviously we are starting off with the New York Excelsior versus the London Spitfire. I'm going to go for Horizon Lunar Colony. It's currently in the maps. The map score is currently 1-0 to Excelsior, 1-0 up after running their new lineup using Sabilby on Sombra. So I thought I'd take a look at the second map, and we shall see how well they played and how the Spitfire tried to adapt to it. So if we just hit play for now, just speed it up.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
You can see all getting ready.
Five, four, three, two, one.
So as everyone can see, the New York Excelsior running the Sombra Goats, the only difference being you've got a Sombra on your team instead of the Diva of traditional Goats, which is what the Spitfire are running. Apart from that, teams are exactly the same lineup. The difference is that New York Excelsior is going to try and build an EMP very quickly, and that will be used to hack all or most of the Spitfire, so they can't use their abilities, hopefully stripping away Bedossin and Prophet's shields if they get caught. And that should give New York Excelsior an easy team fight, which should get Nene a Grav. From then on, you can use the Grav, which should give Sibyobi an EMP, and you should be able to rotate like that. On top of that, the best counter to an EMP is Bedossin's Trance, but that is also used as the best counter to Nene's Grav, so you force an imperfect situation when coming to ult usage. Either you use your Trance for the EMP and then have to use your sound barrier to protect from the Grav, or you use your Trance to defend the Grav and leave with the sound barrier versus EMP, which is very bad because the EMP, if the sound barriers pop first, the EMP will take off all the shields, so you have to be really careful when you're using it. So as we start off, the first thing that everyone will notice is that Sabilby is very far forward currently in Viz, whereas everyone else from New York Excelsior is set up back here. You have Animo on the side with Sabilby's translocator, which is there, and then you have Nene, Libero Mano and Jonak on the other side, using a bit of cover and also allowing them to protect from the stairs over here. Meanwhile, the London Spitfire all grouped up with each other, as you would expect from Goats, and they're going to rush out this door down that path. That is the easiest way to get there, and without taking any poke damage, crossing a gap to get to where they want to go. So as you see as we go, a bit loud, isn't it? just realised what's happened. Oops. So, if we just go back a little bit.
Attackers incoming.
There we go.
Defend objective A.
They're going to come in, obviously. A little bit of poke. In the back. As they move forward, Subiobi's up top again. Reposition back up to the top. Mano Mecha over there. Subiobi did a little bit of poke, but not too much. He didn't really gain as much ult charge as you would like, but it's okay because it's a decent amount. The EMP charge is quick, so you should be able to get it. London obviously go around that corner and into this small room to prevent them from getting too much poke from the rest of Excelsior. As you can see, they all shuffle into the room. SBB drops down and starts harassing in the back. He's gonna just try and power up his EMP as quick as possible. Good, another 10% here. But as you can see, Badosin is sort of left by himself. If we just go back a second or two, maybe a bit further than we liked. It is. That's the moment where, so Birdring was covering this door, but he obviously goes with the call of the rest of the team to move forward, whereas Badosin is still trying to take out Subiobi in a 1v1. So the rest of the team move across the gap, whereas Badosin is still left in this room. So you can see the armor packs coming in from Birdring, and it does heal up Badosin to full. But he is now left across this gap with Jonak, Nene, Anomo, and Subiobi all having a line of sight on him as he crosses this gap, so he can't go across by himself. So that forces Gesture and the rest of them to come back, while Subiobi earns another 10% on his EMP, which is crucial because of the difference in ult charge between Subiobi and Badosin, because those are the two that you want to watch. Because Badosin's Transcendence is the biggest counter to Subiobi's EMP, but obviously with a 30%, almost 30% difference, Subiobi's EMP is going to come up a lot quicker. As we go on further forward, you can see that Badosin backs out of that room and into this airlock to fire a few more shots off. He should be safe there, but Gesture peeks around the corner. But while the rest of Spitfire go up stairs and Badosin comes through, SPB gets a lot of shots off on Badosin and he's very low because he's also discorded by Jonak. So obviously all SPB's damage is got an extra 25% to it. Sorry, 30%. Or is it 28% now, I think. Anyway, so SPB's got extra damage on his gun and he's brought him very low. Also you can tell because SPB is now up to 50% in his ult charge. If you continue forward, there you go, he gets one more headshot. And now Badosin drops. So at the moment you have the issue for Spitfire. They have 5 people in this little stairway here. New York have their 5 up the top here, and SBB down at the bottom. So the choice at the moment, Spitfire being 1 down, they know that New York are going to come and push them. Also, without your Zen, you've lost a decent chunk of your damage and a chunk of your healing. With SBB on one side and the other 5 who are now going to move across, London know they can't stay where they are. Badosin is not going to be able to get back in by himself because Subiobi is going to just spawn camp if they leave him alone to do that. So what happens is they all regroup, and then on Quartermain, who's this is his second game for London. Does very well. He uses his speed boost to get them back across. They push back into Subiobi, who then translocates back up top. He's now at 63% on his ult. And Spitfire rotate back into the room and hold there for a second. Now Subiobi now notices that Podolsyn is respawned, so he's going to try and spawn camp him like I said he would. But the difference is that Fury goes back to help. So Fury is shooting to spy check. They both are. They're just going to throw out damage wherever they can, because if a single bit of damage, doesn't have to be a lot, if it hits Subiobi in his invis, it will make him revealed so they know where he's coming. Subiobi drops invis at this moment and tries to get an ambush kill onto Podolsyn. But Fury, there we go, Fury pops his defense matrix over the top of Podolsyn. Subiobi can't shoot now. Or, well, Subiobi can shoot, but all of his damage is being negated by the D.Va. So he takes a couple of shots and then translocates back up to the top. Where is he? There he is. He was up here. Just hadn't appeared yet. And now Butterdrink goes back around the corner to throw an armor pack at Podolsyn to keep him nice and healthy as he comes through. Gesture pops back around the corner to help Podolsyn get back through. So far, London have lost almost a minute off their timer. They've gained minimal ult charge across theirs, so we've almost got his EMP. So it's not the quickest EMP we've seen, but it's also not the important factor. They've lost a minute off their timer without having a fight. The only one who's got any sort of ult charge is Podolsyn, and that's because Subiobi has been harassing him in the back. So as we continue forward, they're going to do the same thing again, except they're going to stick together better. Podolsyn isn't going to get separated, and they move up this stairway. As you can see by the outline, Subiobi's coming around again to look for someone to pick off. But this time, Podolsyn is directly in the middle of all of his tanks, and you have Birdring and Quartermain in the back trying to look out for the incoming Sombra. So now the rest of New York actually has to do something. And you bring up Mano, who's got his shield covering up as he moves forward. Jonak, Libero, Animo there, and Nene is bringing up the rear. He's staying over here because there is no need to push over to where the London are over here, because they are going to be the ones pushing this way. There's no chance that London are going to go down the stairs, because that would leave them a massive disadvantage when they get to the point because of the high ground difference. So London are going to try and clear New York off the high ground over here. So if Nene moving forward just gives more of an angle for them to get on him. So if Nene stays at the back, you can keep an eye on Mano to provide a bubble if needed, and can fire all his damage in the same direction to clear them out. The other thing that you'll notice is that SPB has yet again taken up his position at the back and is now at 90% on his ult. He's shooting into Fury here to get the last little percentage of his ult. So you can see now Nene has popped his bubble onto Mano. Mano's going to drop his shield so that Nene gains some charge. We hop over to Nene real quick. He's used both his bubbles now. So they've got, as you can see, they've got a 5-second window for them to push through. If we look through cooldowns, Armor Pack is just about to come back up for Libero. And where is... There we go, Birdring has just used his Armor Pack. Wow, that's not a nice view. There we go. And if we take a look at Prophet, Prophet is now popping his allied bubble. As you can see, he's got much higher charge at the moment than Nene does, who only has 39, and Prophet has 79. But that is not the important factor in this moment in time. It is that man's ult charge. You can see it's about to tick up to 100%, and the EMP almost always a clean fight. So as we go on, there we go. EMP is now up. And we have a direct fight for this section of high ground. Because this section of high ground gives you advantage over the point. Because you've got your little window here that you can see lovely onto the point from. New York are going to try and hold here because they don't need to. The longer this fight takes, the better for them. They know that they want to bleed time off the clock. The only issue is that they want to use Subiolbi's EMP to win the fight. So they know that bleeding time off the clock is good, but they also know that they're in a race between Subiolbi's EMP and Bedosian's Transcendence. If Bedosian gets his Transcendence and is in a good place when the EMP goes off, you could, in theory, save everyone through the EMP. So as we go on here, we go on a little bit slower. They push forward. SBB translocates, over here and goes invisible as he tries to get a better position to drop his EMP. However, he gets nicked by a gesture swing there, I believe, and it's about to drop out. Yep, become revealed. As London get aggressive, New York are just going to back off, and because they are hoping that they can re-engage when Spitfire don't have as many resources. What Spitfire do is they drop Fury down to point and Bedosian sits over here. So now you've got 3 up the top here, 2 on the point there, and Quartermain's hiding up here. New York decide to rotate on the low ground. They want to get the entirety of Spitfire into this room because they know that Subiolbi's EMP is only blocked by line of sight, and if you can get everyone into the point, there's no line of sight blocking here. Nowhere to block line of sight for the EMP, which is why Bedosian is sat out here. He knows that if he's in this room when the EMP goes off, he instantly loses 150 of his health and gets down to 50 and is an afterthought when it comes to damage that will come through. So he's going to sit out there as we slow it down a little bit more. Nene comes on to pressure him off, and Jonak, doing Jonak things, gets a little bit of a peek. But the other important fact is Bedosian is getting a lot of shots here onto Nene, and his ult charge is now going up. Continue on a little bit further, Nene gets a bit more charge. SBB is now running around the point to try and get into a good position for an EMP. Gesture now drops down to contest the point, and SBB drops his cloak. This is obviously to drop the EMP, and as you can see here from where SBB is at the moment, if we take a look from his POV, he has got a lovely view on 3 of them. You can hack Fury, Birdering, and Gesture. And we're also, with the fact that Gesture is so much further forward than the rest of his team, as soon as the EMP comes off, the entirety of New York is going to focus on Gesture. He's already discorded, he's taken a little bit of damage, but not much, but he is going to get focused down as quickly as possible. So as soon as I hit play here, we can see EMP drops off. He actually gets 5 because Quartermain and Prophet peek up the top. Bedosian is the only one not caught, and instantly pops his Transcendence to move forward to try and catch up. But as you can see, Gesture has already been stunned. He's got his Discord, he's already on half health. We go even slower. Just as Bedosian gets there to heal, the line of sight on his heal is blocked by Mano, so the Transcendence doesn't come through because it's healed through line of sight, and Jonak hits a headshot. to dish off the last little bit of health. Now that Gesture is out of the way, New York have a massive advantage. Yes, the Transcendence is in, but you've lost your main tank. They're not going to be able to kill anyone else through the Transcendence, but as soon as the Transcendence wears off, as it is doing right about now, as you can see his hands are about to close, the London become very vulnerable to any kind of damage. So as you can see, they start to back off. The issue is that Quartermain, Bedosin, Birdering and Fury all go one way, while Prophet chooses to go the other. So what you have is those four have all backed out there, while Nene has been doing damage onto Prophet's mech. Because Prophet is, Fury's mech, sorry, Fury's down half HP and Nene is almost at his grav again. Grav for the first time. But while all of that is going on, you have Prophet up here who's being chased down by Mano and Animo. Prophet uses his bubble to get off the top and pushes down. Meanwhile, SBB is back up top, setting up his translocator. Well, he will do in a sec. Or has he set it up further back this time? He has. He set it back over here. So when they push in. He's going to push forward. Spitfire are going to gain all their supports. They are lucky that Prophet got away there. If the entirety of New York had pushed up these stairs with Animo and Mano, Prophet would not have been able to get away. But as it stands, we are about to head into our second fight as New York group up. Well, it's our second real fight, and they're already burned half their time on the clock. They've got no progress on the point. And then we come to look at our ult charge. The only ult that is up at this moment in time is Jonax Transcendence, which is always going to be a great advantage, but it's also almost always going to be online because it's Jonak. The other ult that is 1% away is Nene's Graviton Surge. Now this will group them all up together and should lead to easy kills. And as I said, they are trying to alternate EMP and Graviton Surge. So with the Grav about to come through, the only defense that Spitfire could possibly have is if Quartermain can gain the last 19% of his sound barrier before the Grav comes out. However, sound barrier is the slowest charging ultimate in the game. So there isn't much chance of that happening. Whereas when we look at the rest of Spitfire, Bedosin used his ult last fight in the losing fight against Subiobi's EMP. So that's gone. But the rest of them haven't really gained that much ult charge at all. Every single one of them is behind to their counterparts. Fury is the only one obviously without a counterpart. So it's looking pretty good for New York as we go into this next fight. So as I hit play, Subiobi is going to continue to do some more harassing in the background. He's still going to try and charge his EMP as fast as possible. As we push back, Gesture's just going to walk forwards and instantly drop onto point himself. This leaves the rest of them pretty unchallenged. But while Jester does that, if we go back 20 seconds, we just speed through this a little bit. And then slow it right down. As you see Jester jump off the point, Fury's facing the other way to deal with is trying a spy check for Subiobi. And that's the moment that Nene launches his Graviton Surge. Here it is. When Fury's looking the other way, so he's not going to be able to, unless he pulls off an amazing 180, it's not going to happen. He tries to, but it's just slightly too late, and the Graviton Surge hits. But the also important fact is that Gesture is not in this graph. Gesture and Bedosin are the only two not caught in it. So you don't have your Rhine in it, 500 HP and a 2000 HP shield. And your Zen isn't in it, but that doesn't make much difference. So you've got Nene, whose damage won't be blocked. Subiobi's damage won't be blocked. Geonex's damage won't be blocked. Arnomo's damage won't be blocked. Mano and Libero damage can't be blocked unless by a Zarya shield. So you have all 6 of these who will be free firing into a grav, where the only healing is coming from normal healing, no extra abilities. And on top of that, Bdosin gets hacked and loses his Harmony Orb. As you can already see, New York are just going to wade through. Quarter lane's down already. So we're not even 10 seconds into the fight. 1 ultimate down by New York and 1 kill, and on the way to 3 others, I would guess. There we go. Mono's about to charge the pin. Now Jester has got off the point because he knows that he's not going to be able to get anything. Get the 4th kill onto Fury after he demechs. And Gesture charges away in a hope to get out. But what he also does, very luckily, is catch SBB, gets him in the pin. Bdosin is trying as hard as he can to get out, but he was hacked. He was in a 1v1 with Saviobi before, who did considerable amounts of damage. Bdosin's not getting away from Nene there. Now the issue here is that Gesture is going to try and get out. But, as you can see, he's not going to be able to get out past the 4 of New York who are sat here. They push him into the room. Gesture now realises that he's not going to get out. But as you can see, so he starts waving because he's got his Earth Shatter. They know that he can't kill any of them, because if he tries to charge, which is his only way of dealing massive amounts of burst damage, Libero or Mano can counter it, and Nene can throw on a shield. And if Gesture swings his hammer here, he's already got ult, so he's not going to get any ult charge. All it's going to do, in theory, would be to charge up support ults. Now it doesn't matter because they've already got all their support ults, but in the case where they didn't, Gesture swinging through isn't going to help him in any way. So he doesn't do that. He knows he's going to die, so he just waves hello, walks around the corner, and waits for them to kill him. But the other thing is, the most important thing about that is that the death by Gesture has allowed Subiobi the time to get back in after he gets killed. Gesture has just respawned. Anamo's going to come as well to help Subiobi. By the time they start pushing back through, Subiobi is back where he was, and he has his translocator back in the place that it was. So here we go. Now we've got what what London were waiting for. They're going to have their Graviton Surge, they're going to have an Earth Shatter, they're going to have a Sound Barrier. That is a terrible circle. But the thing is, when New York had their Graviton, Spitfire didn't have any support ults, whereas New York Excelsior have all 3 support ultimates. Now, Libero's rally isn't really going to do much in a grav, but you've got a Sound Barrier and a Transcendence, which easily cover a grav. You don't normally need one. On top of that, Mano's got his Earth Shatter up, so he's going to be looking to try and drop that, and drop as many of the Spitfire as he possibly can. And with Subiobi only at 69%, he's going to be pushing forward. Here he is trying to get that last bit of ult charge to get another EMP up. EMP one fight, grab the other, and there you go. So as you can see, he's got his EMP up. He's just going to translocate out. There's no need to do any more damage because it's not going to get him ult charge, and all it's going to do is give Bdosin ult charge. So now you have them back in their positions as they were before. London coming from one side, and New York's holding on the other. And Prophet drops his Graviton here. He's going to pull in Mano.
into the eye.
Jonak rushes forward with his Transcendence. But as you can see, Gesture goes for the pin onto Mano to get him out of the Transcendence, away from the damage. Very funny. And hopefully the rest of the team can take him out. But what he actually does is charge Jonak during Transcendence. Jonak's, well, in Transcendence, invulnerable, so he gets pinned, no damage. The rest of the team still very healthy. Fury gets knocked off. Jonak, still with the last little bit of Transcendence, can go back behind Mano's shield, and New York just back off again. They know that they've got the ult advantage, the EMP, so they don't need to continue that fight. They drop down and rotate to point. Gesture does the same. He drops straight to point. Birdring pops his rally as soon as he does it, as soon as he gets it, and Libero pops his in response. They push back forward onto point, and SBB translocates in. He is about to use his EMP because they always do. But the one thing that you'll notice is that Prophet's not in line of sight. If we look over here, Fury is just in line of sight, Birdring and Gesture. So he catches those three. But the important ones that he didn't get, Quartermain, Bedosin, because they have their support ultimates up. So instantly, Bedosin pops his support ultimate again. But unfortunately, like before, they focus down Gesture. So you can see by all of this, he was EMP'd, he was knocked back by a Animo Boop, he was shield burst or whip shot by Libero, he had a Discord target, a Discord orb on him to increase the damage, and Mano got the final swing. Almost every single person was involved in that. And I think every single person was, because Nene definitely gave a bubble. And is in there. So there we go. Another EMP, another kill on Gesture. Same thing that is going to happen as before. They're going to use as much of the Transcendence as possible. Fury is caught in an awkward position, EMP'd. He had no way of getting out. But Osa knows he's not going to get out. So he just goes in there and takes the death to hopefully get the others out alive. Now New York are going to push forward, try and get the kill on Prophet, and just about do. But as you can see, as soon as Prophet went around this corner, everyone except for Subiobi started backing up because Subiobi can translocate out. But the big thing about this kill is that Prophet's, if we look at Prophet had, all the charge that Prophet did have has now gone. On top of that, there's only 30 seconds left, and as we look at all the ultimates, 30 seconds left, Nene has Grav, Mano still has his Earth Shatter, Animo still has his Sound Barrier, and it's going to be up against Self-Destruct, which can be negated by a Sound Barrier, or, if Mano's shield was in the right place, a simple Ryan Shield. Earth Shatter can be blocked by Ryan Shield, and Sound Barrier, which is just to keep them alive. And on top of all of that, Jonak's not far off his ult, and Subiobi's ult will charge very quickly. Prophet has just died with 24 seconds left, so he has very little time to get back into this fight. So we continue on, Subiobi's going to translocate away, getting his ultimate. London are going to push forward, and Prophet just now respawns as London push forward this way. They're pushing this way because they are not going to be able to take the high ground. They don't have time. They need to get to point. But however, and the reason why they push this way when they can't get high ground is this way gives them most protection from the high ground, so they can get to point, in theory, without taking as much damage. But Nene drops his Graph. This locks them all down. You even get Subiobi hacking out Quartermain when he chose the Sound Barrier, so that gets negated. On top of that, you have a stun onto Gesture by Libero, which allows the Earth Shatter to come through, clean up kills, doesn't matter because they wouldn't have been able to touch a point anyway. So if we now power through all this,
Score. 0.
it's full hold by New York.
Switching sides.
Pretty abysmal
Initiate
offense from
incoming.
Spitfire. Never really had the issues was with if we think about it, the issues were that Zubiovi's EMP always got one kill. And Badosin would always use his Transcendence for it. But in that situation, New York are going to be happy because that's a win fight for them. Then you had Nene's Grav would come on, and they had no support ultimate, so that's a win fight. Then Subiobi again would have one kill with his EMP, and that's a one fight. And then you come into the last fight, and that's game. There's nothing they can do. Nene's got another Grav, hold them off point, win the fight. Now that's 4 team fights where it was either EMP or a Graviton Surge that killed the fight. But the one thing that was very important, if I can find it,
Ready for battle.
is this moment here. I'm going to watch Badosin's health bar, because this is only 20 seconds into the game. He's dead. That takes a whole minute off the clock. That's another 1.5 pushes. That last push from London isn't as forced as it was. So if we skip back to, if we want to go to about here,
Initiate. Ready for battle.
where if you look at, yeah, and the one thing that's going on is obviously Spitfire debating what comp they're going to run. Gesture wants to run Rissa because he thinks they're going to run a
Attackers incoming in
bunker
30
comp,
seconds.
but decided last moment, no, not running bunker comp. We're going to run standard goats because bunker comp can be destroyed. Wow, they're going to run Winston goats, which I'm not surprised by because Gesture's Winston is very good.
5, 4.
And also, the whole point of the whole difference between Winston goats and Rhine goats is that if you did have a Widowmaker, obviously Mana wouldn't be running it, and a Pharah in the sky, as well as all the other DPS heroes, a Rhine in that situation, his shield will be destroyed very quickly, and then Rhine has nothing to do except stand there and take 500 HP of damage before he dies. Winston will allow you to move back to pressure the Widow. Will also not provide. It will also mean that the whole team is spread out, so the Pharah won't get as much damage done in. So it gives you a lot more flexibility when it comes to dealing with damage comps. So that's why Winston is normally running defense. The other thing is Badosin has swapped over to the Ana. The reason Badosin has swapped over to the Ana is because Ana will provide more base healing than a Zen would. But the difference is that Ana's healing on all of Ana's abilities will be disrupted by a Diva, whereas they know that New York is going to run Subiobi on Sombra, so they know there's not going to be a Diva on the field. So they know that they can run the Ana, and all of Badosin's healing will go through. The only issue is that Ana's ultimate, the Nano Boost, is not a defensive ultimate. So it really leaves them with only one support ultimate up against 2 fight-winning ultimates that by themselves could end the game. So while I understand the idea of more healing, it does put them in a very risky situation.
Defend objective
Now,
A.
Mano is going to stay in spawn on Widow. Well, he's not going to stay in spawn. He's going to take a peek out. But they have Subiobi go forward and scout to find out what they're running. They instantly recognise it as Winston goats. SBB is going to be over here, and he's going to try and farm up of Fury, his EMP, and New York are going to group up. Difference being that they chose to come from this side rather than this one, so there'll be a little more poke on the shield. But the other is that Subyobi is not going to be with them. He's just going to run straight onto the point. Decloak. Start the capture process. This forces Spitfire to come back because they only have one tick they need to gain. And you can't send... If you send Fury on his own, he can get hacked if he goes for any sort of... if he goes for a defense matrix when he doesn't have his micro missiles, he can get hacked out in the middle of it and then just... he'll be used to farm up EMP. If he doesn't use defense matrix, he's just going to be used to farm up EMP. So Bdosin comes with him, also to keep him healed so we don't drop. So as they do that, the two of them come across. As you can see, the rest of New York push around this corner. They know that Fury's not going to be there to disrupt them. Bdosin has also gone back. Jester drops down to try and stall their advancement, and Subyobi just walks off point, comes back. He's flirting with the edge because he knows that he's not there to take that fight. He's there as a distraction. But the issue is that Subyobi gets slept here. So the whole team is going to come over, instantly take him out. New York are now in the position of they're in deep, but they're a man down. There's nothing they can do. So they're gonna lose this fight, but they're gonna get as much ult charge as possible. And their main goal is to get Nene out without him dying. Which they just about do successfully, because that means that Nene gets to keep 76 charge on his weapon. Because as soon as you hit 100, you deal double damage. So he's got a significant damage increase on what he's already doing. Top of that, he's at 7. If we look at his ult, the ult difference, he's at 75% on his ult. The only ult that can counter him at the moment is Quartermain with 60%. So he's ahead in that respect. On top of that, he's ahead of everyone else from Excelsior, including Subyobi, because he got slept during that fight. The only issue for them is that Birdring has his rally, so they can pop it and be really aggressive. They've got Nano Boost coming out from Bdosin, so it's got to be He's probably going to go into Gesture, increasing damage and increasing his damage reduction, as well as a quick burst healing if he needs it. And on top of that, Gesture has almost got Primal Rage, instant 1000 HP, and the lower cooldowns on his jump pack. As we can see, Subyobi's going to push forward, try and earn as much as possible. I think that was a mistake there, popping the invis and then instantly coming out of it. So he's going to spend some time trying to charge up his ult. We see. Now, the other thing that you'll notice is that a minute and a half. This is them going into the second fight. This was the first fight. This was the time that the first fight had just finished in Spitfire's attack because Bdosin got picked off. So they're already about 30 seconds ahead when it comes to it. Subyobi translocates up top, try and put some pressure in. But while that happens, you have a lovely Bionade from Bdosin onto Animo and Prophet. Not Prophet, Nene. They then back off. Some more damage is coming in. Spitfire yet again know that they don't need to go anywhere because they know that Excelsior have to come to them. So we're always going to again try and back cap. Again, it's Fury and Bdosin do the same thing. This time Subyobi gets out before he can be slept. He's now back with his team. He's almost got his EMP. But now it's 5 ults for Spitfire. As you can see, that is a lot of damage that's gone onto Jonak, and Gesture drops down with a bubble. But Libero still has his armor pack that he throws out. That means that Jonak is now back up to full HP. Gesture is the one who's now in the most danger, instead of it being Jonak. Mano charges forward in a hope to pin Gesture, but just misses because Gesture continues to back up. And it's that moment that Prophet lobs in his grab. But if we go up to where they are, yes, Gesture will be hitting all of them, and Prophet will be doing damage from both. But Birdring's not dealing any damage, Fury's not dealing any damage, Quartermain's not dealing any damage, and Bedosin down there isn't dealing any damage. Yes, Gesture gets nanoed, but there's a sound barrier on top of them. Bubbles, they're fine. He then gets hacked out by Sabiorbi, and now another ult has to be popped. We have Birdring popping his rally in the middle there, but you've got Gesture and Prophet here on this side, Fury who's on that side, Bedosin over there and Quartermain over there. No one is near Birdring to get his rally. Gesture can't leap up because he's hacked out, and that gives New York all the space. Mano throws out an Earth Shatter, it doesn't catch anyone around the corner. Very unlucky there. It was just as they were backing out. Libero now pops his rally, slightly later than Birdring, so they'll have a slight extension. Gesture now unhacked jumps into the back. Meanwhile, in the front lines, Nene is throwing his grav onto Prophet, Birdring and Bedosin. Now, the only ult that can save them at the moment is Quartermain on his sound barrier, but he knows that Sabiorbi will have EMP, and if you drop sound barrier before EMP, it gets stripped away, so it becomes useless. So Quartermain has to stay hiding over there. Now Sabiorbi drops his EMP. All three of these are hacked. Five members have been hacked. Gesture can't use his Primal Rage. Fury, who's about to get his self-destruct, can't use that. And you have the three in the graph who are all hacked. As you can see now, Quartermain comes around the corner, instantly drops beat. But by that time, you've already lost Birdring, Prophet and Bedosin. Gesture is the only one who benefits from the beat, as well as Quartermain, who now comes in. But they are still hacked. Fury, still hacked by the time he dies and loses mech, so that's gone. Gesture props his Primal Rage, but he gets hacked again. And that is an easy cap for New York. So that is how New York takes that map so easily. Not going to do as in-depth a look, but if we go on to Hollywood, you'll see the first big difference in the way that you're actually supposed to deal with the Sombra comp. London were too passive there. They needed to get more aggressive. They never really took the front foot while on the defense and while on the offense, and it allowed New York to rotate their ults just the way they wanted to. It just allowed them to EMP, then grav, then EMP, then grav. Also, all started off with that pick on Bedosin. I think that's a really important pick by Sabiorbi to get a pick in just before, as they rotate, because it forces them to rotate back out. They can't stay in there without their Zen, and it ends up being quite a fortuitous moment for them.
Ready for battle.
There we go. We just skip forward a little bit. As we see, for some reason, our name's at the top of the opposite way around. That is New York and that is Spitfire. Sabiorbi is going to come onto point, and this time it's Birdring who contests him. And you have the rest of Spitfire up top. Birdring forces Sabiorbi away into that room, and in that moment, they're going to dive on in. See this? They're taking the initiative, going aggressive. They take out Nene because Sabiorbi's over there. They are down a person in this fight, so they just power on through, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep pushing, keep pushing. Sabiorbi gets taken out by Birdring in the backline, and that instantly releases all of London to go on the aggressive. Now this is a running theme throughout this defense. Here they go, they come back. Sabiorbi yet again goes to point. Uncloaks, starts capping. Birdring and Vidoshin are the ones to contest this time instead of Fury. Here has Saviobi has to translocate out. And as you can see, the moment that Jonan gets low, they all charge in. Gesture gets hacked this time, but Vidoshin has earned his ult. Both Transcendences come through. And it sort of returns to a status quo. The only issue is that Birdring is out of position here. He is not with the rest of his team. However, Prophet is the first one to his grab, so instantly drops it. Beat comes in. And then an EMP follows up on it, but this time only hacks Gesture. The difference being that because it only hacks Gesture, Birdring instantly throws his armor pack to him, Prophet can give him a bubble, and then Quartermain comes in with a sound barrier. This time it actually saves them because they can't kill Gesture quick enough. On top of that, if you look at the health bar of Mano, very low. Jonak's just been taken out. Mano drops an amazing shatter and knocks down two of them, and Gesture gets taken out. And in that moment, Libero pops his rally. However, they are now fighting 4v5. They try with Nene's grab, but Prophet takes down Libero. They just about take out Nus, but then Nene is taken out, and then Saviobi's in the backline, and Animo just gets out. And that's the big difference in the two team fights, is the aggressiveness of London.